Thank you, Congressman Murphy. Again, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to come here today. For those of you, I'm sure most of us are aware by now, but All Aboard Florida is 32 high-speed trains that'll travel from Miami to Orlando 7 days a week from early in the morning to late evening at speeds up to 110 miles per hour. They also plan to double-track the entire system with the exception of the bridge over the St. Lucie River in Stewart. That's going to remain single-tracked. And what a choke point that will be. I mean, I just can't imagine. Congressman Murphy mentioned the boat traffic that goes through that very bridge and how it differs. You know, interestingly enough, I spoke with the marinas that are west of that bridge, and All Aboard Florida said that they took the boat numbers during peak season, 2 to 3 weeks in January. I asked the marinas, is that our peak season? I boat, it's windy and cold and you don't want to go out in January. And they said, no, that's exactly right, Casey. That's one of the slower times because of the bad weather and the high winter seas. In June, Martin County installed the boat camera in the first 53 days. It's a huge difference. Like he said, it was about 70% difference in boat numbers. So it's very important that we got our own statistics. We can't trust exactly everything that's in that EIS that was paid for by All Aboard Florida. The other thing I want to mention with the freight, in that EIS, it's going to increase. They estimate it's going to increase by 42% in 2 years. Right now there's 14 freight trains that travel north and south. 2 years, they're planning on it to be 20 freight trains. They also stated the average freight train length is around 8,500 feet. What they don't tell you is the longest freight train will be up to 14,000 feet long. That is 2.65 mile long freight trains going through the center of our towns over our bridges. Believe me, they're not going to clear our intersections in 90 seconds. So now, I'd like to actually have our next speaker come up. It's Representative Larry Lee. He represents District 84, which includes Eastern St. Lucie, and for the Florida House of Representatives. He's also co-authored with state legislators a recent letter to the FRA expressing their deep concern over the findings of the draft environmental impact statement. He grew up in Fort Pierce, Florida, and while he has seen many positive changes over the years, he shares our concerns and opposes the All Aboard Florida project and its detriment to our communities. So please help me welcome Representative Lee.
Thank you, Casey, and thank you all for being here. You know, there's strength in numbers, and what we need to do is multiply this tenfold. If each one of us were to just talk to 10 of our friends, get them to sign on board, we can make this thing make a difference. And I want to thank all of my colleagues, both on the right side of the aisle. You know, my colleague from the House, Gail Harrell, we've been together with this from day one, and Franny Hutchison and Todd Mowry from the county, Ed Feeling down in Martin County, and Troy McDonald. And that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a united effort because individually we're weak, but if we unite, we become strong. And that's why it's so important that you tell your neighbors. I know Congressman Murphy has said a lot that I wanted to say, so I don't want to be redundant. But Casey mentioned something just then about that train being over 2 miles long. And you think of a community like St. Lucie Village up here, there are only a few entrances and exits in that community. If that train is 2 miles long and a house is on fire, by the time that train passed, the house could have burned down. Or a person who's having a medical emergency, by the time that train passes, that person could have had a heart attack and passed. So we have a serious safety concern there. And when you look at Martin County's marina down there, it's west of the bridge. It was mentioned by Congressman Murphy, how long it takes that bridge to rise and be lowered. Representative Harrell and Representative Mayfield, myself, and other elected officials, we took a tour one day. I don't know. We saw how long it took that the bridge to come up. We went across. Then we saw how long it took to go down. And just imagine that happening 32 times per day. It's going to devastate Martin County's marina industry. You have economic, you have a safety, and you have an environmental concern there. Down by Walton Road and Inner River Drive, you have another issue down there with the first responders. So I'm totally against this, but I do believe that each one of us, when we leave here today, we should make a commitment that we're going to get 10 of our friends. And if you don't have 10 friends, call Congressman Murphy. I think he has a bunch of them. But we need to get 10 of our friends on board, because if we do that, we're just multiplying ourselves. And they understand up in Washington, and they understand in Tallahassee, when people rise up in large numbers, that's their attention.
I have a question.
Okay.
Well, I'm new to the area. We live in Rocky Point and Point talk to people that live west and try to tell them, oh, well, that doesn't affect me. What can I use as a weapon?
Well, you know, you're going to have people like that in life. As long as it's not in my backyard, there's not much you can do with those types of people. Last night I had a campaign event at PGA Village, and all of those people out there, it does not impact their community. However, everyone at that meeting sympathized with us and said that they would do whatever they can. So what I tend to do in life is I try to surround myself with positive people. Now, when what you have to do when you see people like that, you say always strive to get on top in life, because at the bottom it's overcrowded if you're not on the way. So if they're in your way, get out of their way. So that's what I do, because negative energy will kill you. You got to just surround yourself with people like we are here today, and just work on and situate the positives. Don't burn up that good energy that you have. And right here, we have that energy right here. We just need it to grow. But I want to thank you for being here. I can tell you, from day one, I've been I don't want all aboard. I've been right up front with her in this effort. We talked to, and I want to give special thanks to my friend Ashton DePeister. Where is Ashton? Right here. Ashton and Paul, Brian Paul, right there. This is their facility here, and Ashton made this available. When I called Ashton and told him, I told Ashton what Casey wanted to do, he said, let's do it. And if we have a problem with parking, Ashton owns the property over there by the that property for parking. So, and that's what it's going to take. Community efforts like that. We have people out here that's willing to roll their sleeves up and get on. I can't board. Well, get with the program. But we just got to ask. All we have to do is ask. Thank you for being here, and God gave us a great day today, didn't He? Thank you. Thank you again, Casey.
Thank you, Representative Lee. I really appreciate coming down here. And yes, this is a gorgeous day with a gorgeous day to go with it. You know, you asked a really good question here in the front row about impacts to everybody else that maybe don't live along the tracks or on the other side of the bridge. I get asked that question a lot as well, and I agree with Representative Lee that people that don't live next to the tracks, they feel there is no impact. Well, you know, I feel they are impacted, because what all aboard Florida and Florida East Coast has not been telling people, we have to pay additional maintenance expenses and lease expenses. This is our tax dollars. Martin County, for example, they expect these costs to double for rehabilitating the tracks. We have to pay our roads over their tracks for those intersections a year. The average cost is $60,000. When that doubles, $20 for each intersection. So the fact of the matter is, to those people, their taxes are going to go up. You don't have to live west of the bridge. You don't have to live near the tracks. You're impacted. Somehow your community has got their money to pay for those maintenance agreements. Are they going to cut a cost, some service? No. Will they raise taxes? I don't know, but that's going to be their two choices. So it really does impact every single one of us. You know, with this project, we always have to ask about the feasibility of it. Just want to share with you a couple statistics. Amtrak, we already have a service, of course, that goes from Miami to Orlando, and it is Amtrak. It lost over $46 million in 2013. Another one, Tri-Rail, that runs in South Florida, it lost $87 million in 2013. And now Florida East Coast wants to add yet another in this exact same market. And somehow we're supposed to believe it's going to be profitable and feasible, and they want to use our tax money to run this project. That's why Florida Not All Aboard was founded, and that's why we oppose this. You know, as Representative Lee said, this is not a partisan issue at all. Everybody has joined together. Congressman Murphy has stepped up. Representative Lee has stepped up. Senator Negron, he vowed that he's not going to support one state dollar to go towards this project. And we also have representatives here, and I'm going to let some of them speak, that also just recently wrote the letter to the Federal Railroad Administration. And Representative Gail Harrell is one of them. She'll be coming up next as well. We so much appreciate their voice. Don't vote, but it is so important. We also had Congressman Posey with Congressman Murphy go to the Government Accountability Office to ask for feasibility. This is what's so key. And folks, this is why we need to unite and really sign the petition, write our legislators, become to be our voice. And they are stepping up. They're being bold leaders, and they are being our voice, and we really appreciate that. So next, I would like to have Representative